Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of The Last Door. Now before I get started, I do have a bit of an explanation. I played through this episode, thought I was recording, but then when I went to look at the video, it was nothing but the desktop. So, here we go. Hopefully this will work. It was working earlier. I think it was because I had just updated the video drivers, and so it was acting a little bit wonky. So anyways, I know what's going to happen in this episode. It won't be a blind playthrough, so it probably won't be as long as the other ones. So don't forget to set the mood, turn the lights off if you're watching this at night, put on your headphones, and so this is actually a pretty good episode. I like this one. So, here we go. Episode 4. Let's restart the episode. Yes, we're going to start over. Previously on The Last Door. After escaping from his burial, David finds himself in a cellar of London's darkest slum, the Old Nickel Rookery. In his pocket he has a ticket for a show called The Four Witnesses. David walks through the misty streets, following a strange man who seems to guide him. He learns the legend of the Simurgh, the king of birds. Following its trail through a dreamlike land of fog, David finally meets Alexander, a member of the secret group David and his friends had at school. Alexander welcomes David and speaks of an entity called the Bird that has been calling them ever since the experiment they conducted back then. There is no turning back. I have made my mind. I'm ready. Go on. Do it. Do it. Do it. So let's go ahead and skip the credits. So this isn't going to be a blind playthrough just because I already did play it. So I'm just going to be reading out the dialogue and playing the game. Can you see all these stars twinkling in the black outer abyss, all the constellations traced by human eyes in long-distant eras? Look now to the forest in the valley, to the old tower, from the last tree in the distance to the stars in the sky. And even the stones beneath our feet are just silhouettes that hide the truth from our poor senses. Ancient shadows that hang over the veil that hides the world. As if it were the curtain of a theater, the veil separates the truth from the lie. The veil is a place, David, a place of mists. Anthony's great abilities brought you here, but his influence will soon fade away. The mask of lies will descend over your eyes once again. You must find the door, as I did. The door that gives passage through the veil. Open it and we will walk together beyond the mist. I suppose you are wondering why I called you so urgently. I cannot deny it. Your letter was truly mysterious. I have been traveling, Doctor, to Scotland. Have you heard about the massacre of St. Gall? Why, yes, the tragic event has been the continued object of speculation and grim rumor in every newspaper in England. For weeks now, pamphlets have claimed that all kinds of macabre things took place. But I don't understand. How is all this connected with my patient? He was there. I'm afraid he is one of the victims. Dear God. What was Devitt doing there? Many years ago, the St. Gall Hospital was a boarding school. It appears that both your patient and Mr. Beechwood spent part of their youth there together. We can assume that Herr Devitt was investigating something. He believed he had found a clue related to his friend's death. Are you telling me my patient has been murdered? Murdered? Thankfully, no. Please excuse me for alarming you. I did not mean to give this impression. Herr Devitt was attacked, but survived. What happened to him, then? It seems the criminal was caught by Herr Devitt in the midst of the act. Then he tried to do the same thing to Devitt that he had done to the others. Fortunately, the nuns arrived in time to unearth him from the coffin. Herr Devitt was hospitalized. The nurses report that he remained unconscious for an entire day. What was the cause of those awful deaths? No one knows for sure. The victims were inflicted with terrible wounds. All of them had an expression of utmost terror on their faces. I suspect you did not find Mr. Devitt in the hospital. Indeed, he was already gone by the time I arrived. I have not been able to determine his whereabouts since. I see. What conclusions do you draw from all of these circumstances? I have some theories, but I would prefer not to reveal them until events have unfolded. In all of them, there is a fundamental element whose role has not yet been revealed. And what leads you to this conclusion? It is something that the Holy Sisters found besides Herr Devitt within the coffin. An empty hypodermic needle with traces of an unknown substance. Episode 4, Ancient Shadows. I'm sure this is the place. Alexander's house must be just ahead. The ancient castle of Pevensey rests in the distance. It was a garrison first built by the Romans, but was abandoned and has been a ruin ever since. There is a large iron bar latching the door. It is quite odd that the door was latched from the outside. It's too dark in here. It looks like we'll need a lamp. It's latched. I can't open it from this side. No one is answering. Perhaps I should go inside anyway. I'll just tell the household that I'm an old friend come to visit. A strange woman stares down at me, glaring with a silent reproach at my intrusion. Footsteps. There must be someone upstairs. A well-crafted grandfather clock, but it seems to be out of order. One of the hands is missing. Let's go this way first. A couple of old teacups sit on the table. One of them is full and still warm. It could be Pevensey Castle, but in this painting the garrison is not in ruins. An oil lamp. Let's take it, shall we? Just some old bottles. It's a diary. This is the last thing written. The last pages have been ripped off. October 12th. It's been a while. since I can't devote any time to this diary for reasons beyond my control. An event most tragic has taken place in this house. Mr. Dupre has gotten ill, immersed in an everlasting stupor from which, it seems, he shall not return any time soon. Since the accident, I patiently take care of him. The doctor's treatments don't seem to do any good. I feed him like a child and make sure that all of the sculptures in the house are turned towards the wall. What else can I do? October 13th. The clockmaker just left. He has done such a good job. In the end, Mr. Dupre is not going to be able to notice the change in the clocks that he has so insistently requested. In his state, time will not be a problem anymore. This looks like the diary of a member of Alexander's household. What happened to them? A pantry with spices and ingredients. Let's unlatch that door. Cellar entrance. The cellar door is locked. I need a key to open it. The bare branches of the trees stretching to the sky break the night into 1,000 pieces. An ancient stone well. A rope hangs inside, disappearing into the darkness below. The rope has broken. I'll keep this end. Flashbacks. It looks like someone was buried here. I can't dig with my bare hands. This pane looks as if it had been broken from the inside. A statue of an angel with its wings spread. Its head is missing. A statue of an angel covered in mold. It's glancing at me with a sad gesture. A jar of vitriol oil. I must be careful. It's a powerful acid. Let's take it. Let's go upstairs now. The silhouette of a man. It bears a strong resemblance to Alexander. The silhouette of a woman. There he is. Alexander! Let's explore the room first. There is a scribbled annotation in this piece of paper. The veil is something we sense in our innermost being incessantly. In vain do we waste our lives craving to tear through. It is Zai Lathal, the curtain behind which the great wings beat. Inside its ancient mists inhabit the shadows of those who left. The table holds nothing but a box with the description, laudanum, to be taken in case of anxiety. It is empty. This cuckoo clock is covered with dust. It seems to be missing an important piece, the bird. The face of the clock has been turned. Now, if you'll notice, the face of the clock is turned 45 degrees counterclockwise. A misty dock overlooks a gray ocean. Gull's wheel overhead. Alexander, it's me, Devitt. I'm sorry if I startled you. Is everything alright? Why are you sitting in a wheelchair? Are you hurt maybe? Can you stand? He is staring blankly at some distant point, as if he has not heard my question at all. You told me I should come here, and I came as soon as I could. Can you tell me what is happening here? He gives no answer, but persistently stares at something nearby. He appears to be in some kind of hypnotic trance. When I was downstairs, I could have sworn I had heard footsteps. Were they yours? Or is there someone else in this house? For a moment, I felt a flash of hope that he was looking at me, but he is unresponsive. Kitty, settle down. My cat's walking all over the place. Let's continue. Alexander, please say something. I don't know what to do. I don't understand. Just what happened to him? He looks miles away. A figurine of an angel facing the wall. So as we saw in the diary page downstairs, all these statues are facing the wall for some reason. I'm not quite sure why. A fine painting of the local Roman structures. They somehow seem more ancient in this depiction. Portrait of an old man, maybe a ship captain, and it looks like he's trying to guard this chest with his stern glare. A huge chest made of oak wood. There is a large hook inside. I'll take the hook. There was a fragment of the diary under the hook. August 5th. I can't work in the basement anymore. Those wretched sculptures, I feel them stalking me in the darkness. I know it's not possible, but I can hear the crunches, the flapping wings, stone grinding on stone. Their frozen paroxysms. What diabolical art were those gestures conceived? An eternal movement, a tension, an impossible struggle to get back the life they never had. I might place them outdoors in the greenhouse and let the mold devour them, and wasps make nests in their hollow hearts. Seems to be a black room, or dark room. A camera tripod. The cat's going crazy. She was doing this when I first recorded the first episode too. It's probably the ghosts. Pictures hanging from a cord. They look as if they were improperly developed. You can hardly distinguish anything. A basin with a copper drain. It looks like some kind of red-tinted glass cover used to mask the lamp. It's completely shattered on the floor. Sorry. A lamp is hanging from the ceiling. Its bulb casts an intense white light. The image of a couple wearing rat masks at a festival. Very disconcerting. A glass jar containing a yellow substance. The label reads cyanide. Let's take it. It is a big book of home chemistry recipes. A few pages have been bookmarked and some articles are underlined. 3149. Collodion for photography. Collodion is the vehicle by which the photographic chemicals are united upon the surface of the glass and the sensitive coating produced. Many formulae are published for this article, to which great value is attached, some supposing that to its peculiar composition belongs the principal causes of failure or success. This is only in a degree true. 3151. To develop a positive image. This is done by pouring upon the plate about 1 ounce of the vitriol spirit solution and then adding 5 or 6 drops of the cyanide acid. Then the plate must be thoroughly washed. Sorry, my cat's going crazy for some reason. She knocked over the microphone. That's what that was. Then the plate must be thoroughly washed in water to remove any excess of the chemicals. 3150. The causes of failure. They would almost require a chapter by themselves. A long experience convinces us that 9 out of every 10 failures occur from a want of care, the presence of dirt, negligence. One cannot be over nice, careful, or cleanly. The best results always rewarding the most painstaking. If a mistake is made in the order specified in the formula, quickly flow clean water over the plaque and start again. On instruments whose workings are beyond my knowledge. I don't like it. A bust with his face turned around. A picture of an angel with a gentle face. A large envelope of black felt covered in dust and ashes. It is labeled with a warning. Do not open it under white light. I wonder why that was in the fireplace though. It's a letter. Dear Alexander, I have excellent news. A contact from the university has given me access to a 12th century alchemical tome containing an amazing formulary. There is no doubt that, sometimes, mere contemplation takes the mind to places that otherwise it would have never visited. Leafing through the grimoire and marveling at the exquisite illumination of its pages, I have been struck by a sudden epiphany, a radical but elegant method that I have decided to try. Forgive me for not providing any information about the method itself. As soon as I get definite results, I will write to you immediately. I believe fortune has truly smiled upon us today. Videte ne quis sciat, June 8th, 1887. This seems an invoice. May this document serve as a record of the payment made corresponding to the following work. The cuckoo clock mechanism has been modified to give the strokes exclusively at 6:15 in the afternoon. In addition, a special device and a switch have been added to synchronize all clocks in the house. The shelf is lined with strange and complex books. Some titles include The Movement of Shadows, Preserving the Mind, and Lessons Beyond Nature. Let's go outside, and we can actually combine the hook and the rope. And we heard the bucket fall after it hit the ground, after the rope snapped. So, the bucket is dropped to the bottom. Let's use the rope and hook. Within the mud and dirt inside the bucket, there was a small bird of brass. Strangely enough, there doesn't seem to be any water in the well. A little brass bird. When shaken, it makes a noise as if there was something inside. This was not here before. The corpse of a deer, its abdomen torn open. It looks recently dead. I know to do all this just because of the first playthrough. I was walking around for the longest time during my first playthrough. But I need to cover the bulb in red so that I can develop this photograph, since I cannot open it under white light. I believe I have everything to process the photograph. Jeez. The image is faded out. Vitriol first, 1 ounce. The oil has caused a strong acidic reaction. 5 to 6 drops of cyanide. I've applied the liquids in the correct order. All that remains is to rinse the plate. An image is appearing on the plate. It's a photograph of Anthony and Alexander, and there seems to be a mysterious third figure. It's too dark to tell. Jeez. Yeah. The first time I played it, I nearly crapped my pants. The light bulb has exploded. I believe that's everything we need from in here. Let's show Alexander the photo. Alexander, do you recognize this photograph? Take a look. It is you and our old friend Anthony, and there is someone else blurred in the background. Who is the third figure? Does he mean something to you? The bird awaits. The bird awaits. He is breathing heavily. He seems to be lacking air. A piece of a clockwork. A hand. We can affix the bird that was missing back on this clock. The bird fits perfectly. Oh wait, I didn't pick up the hand. A well-crafted grandfather clock, but it seems to be out of order. One of the hands is missing. Let us repair the clock. I'll put the clock hand in its place. I only need to set the clock to the correct time. "6:15" is what the note said, but if you recall, on the other clock, the clock face was turned 45 degrees counterclockwise. So what we need to do is we need to set it so that it will be 6:15 on the clock upstairs, which would be this. The sound came from upstairs. The bird has burst out at the stroke. Now its beak is open. There was a key inside the bird. I bet we can use that key to get into the cellar. He is having some kind of seizure. He is trembling out of pure horror. And he keeps repeating xylitol. Right. That made me jump the first time I played it. A dusty carpet of Asian origin. Mold and dust cover the portrait, making the subject indistinguishable. This piece of fine furniture has several drawers. Inside this one, there is a gardener's shovel. There are remains of a Roman mosaic behind this wall. I can't distinguish anything clearly. An ancient statue in poor conditions. Old ruins. It seems that they were part of a Roman settlement. A book written in a language unknown to me. There is a scrawled annotation written in English on one of the margins. This and no other is the function of the serum we manufactured at the boarding school when we were young. It is something that we didn't understand at the time, to accompany the mind to the proscenium of the big theater, and there help us to look behind the curtain that separates the world of men from the land of truth. To look, I say, if anything, to apprehend an image of what lives there. Just that. Will the hoopoe allow us to raise the curtain enough to walk off the stage and go beyond? Kitty, sit here. A huge cage full of leftovers and dirt. Animals have been captive here. Innumerable jars full of murky objects suspended in formaldehyde. Jars and test tubes. Everything is soaked in chemical residues and the air is filled with the smell of vinegar. A bunch of dust-covered beakers with repulsive liquids. A few of them have developed fungi inside. Unlabeled bottles and lab equipment. And it looks like there is a passageway behind this object that I can't quite reach yet. Let's use the shovel on the grave outside. As horrible as that sounds. I wonder if that was a flashback to his coffin. I wonder if he's still in it. I wonder if this is all raving madness. A wooden box. It seems too small for a coffin. The lock is very rusted, almost shattered. The lock still resists. I can't open it by hand. This is a strong acid. So, I think that's the nuns uncovering him, so he might actually have made it out. Also, that's what the doctors were talking about on the train. The remains of a humanoid body, but with a grotesque animal aspect. Maybe a small ape? It has a collar with some engraved words on it. Old Mike. The skeletal fingers of the creature are clutching a rolled up canvas. It's a map of the stars. The summer triangle, formed by Deneb, Altair, and Vega. It's some kind of navigation map. Several constellations are marked. Besides the corpse, there is a paper leaf. Dear Alexander, undoubtedly your methods are definitely stronger than mine. How do you manage to get results with such alacrity? On another note, my epiphany with the treatise of alchemy was not accidental. When examining the text closer, I have come to the conclusion that for a time, Raimundus Lully sought the same thing as we did. In his account he describes a formula that he calls hoopoe, yes, like the legendary bird. It closely resembles the serum with which we have worked so far, except for minor differences. It's a pity what you told me about old Mike. I hope he gets better soon. Videte ne quis sciat. July 2nd, 1887. It looks like old Mike did not get better soon. Oh God, that sounds like Alexander. Come upstairs. Let us make haste. Alexander! There seems to be something in the chair. The window flew open and blew out the candle. Some diary pages on the wheelchair. The paper is ripped apart as if someone had stripped it off the book hastily. October 31st, 1891. I'm writing this in the light of my desk lamp, hoping to be able to remember it all when the birds finally sing and the sun's blessing dispels the dark shadows of the mind. During the whole afternoon, a strong wind hit the valley, so strong that it has cracked the larger branch of the old oak in the garden. I find it hard to get sleep during these nights, so I read a lot while accompanying the professor. I don't really know when exactly I fell asleep. I was awakened by the chill of the night, which was seeping through the open window. I looked outside and I saw him. The professor was miraculously awake. What was my joy to see him standing on the balcony, watching the valley with a true serene expression, enjoying the fresh and calm air right after the storm. I felt that a blessing had fallen upon this house, and for a moment I felt immensely happy. I stared at him for a while without saying anything, being afraid of dispelling a vision I hadn't believed possible for a long time, and then, in the midst of the silence, I heard a sound that froze me in my seat and snatched all my calmness with such a terrible chill that I will never forget. A loud noise beside me, low-pitched as the drag of a slab. Mr. Alexander's snore, who was pleasantly sleeping in his bed. I've already made a decision. I'll leave this house. A bird just flew in. So you might recall from the introduction scene, this is where Alexander and Devitt were standing. Starlight brings some brightness to the forest. A statue. It's holding something. It's a lens mounted in a metal ring. Crystal. Canvas. I believe that is everything in here. Or out here, I should say. Wait, is that another box? I don't remember both of these objects. It looks like two boxes, but I guess it's just the one.
I'm influenced by Froglock.
What was that? There is a mountain of compacted snow. There is a dark hole in the center of this room. It delves into the depths of the earth far beyond what I can see. An envelope with a letter inside it. Dear Alexander, I'm terribly sorry about old Mike. Will you put him to rest in his favorite place? After weeks of unsuccessful attempts, I've managed to distill the alchemical formula based on my notes you sent me. Certainly, you're a master of this craft. The subject reacted to the serum as usual, rapidly entering into a state of waking sleep. Suddenly, the convulsions stopped, and since then, he has not been responding to any kind of stimulation. He has remained in this state for many days. My diagnosis is brain dead. Which should be our next step, Alexander? I'm worried this could be the end of our research. Videte nequisquiat. August 23rd. A wooden secretary desk, beautifully carved. The flip top has no knob or lock, just some strange symbols. So, symbols, and it looks like it might be a puzzle of sorts. No, I think this is not the triangle that I'm looking for. If we put the lens on the telescope, the crystal fits perfectly in the telescope. So now, if you recall, the triangle is on the canvas, forming the summer triangle by 3 stars, Deneb, Vega, and Altair. So we'll use these 3 symbols to unlock the flip top. Correct, this is the summer triangle. And so you'll notice it's vertical with 2 diagonal, a U, and this H with a line through it. So I've got the U there. We need vertical with 2 diagonal, and the H. And I call it an H. I know it's not an H, it's a symbol. There is a small cabinet with 2 slots for syringes. Only one of them remains. The voice again. It comes from the bottom of the pit. Alexander! There is a chair in the middle of the room. A variety of surgical instruments and some jars with chemicals in them. Alexander! Alexander! This is what you asked me to search for, is it not? Alexander, am I right? The last door. Zailathal. The last door. We can cross together. What should I do? I am waiting for you, here in the mist. It's nearby. I can hear it. What is nearby? What do you hear? I hear the beating of its wings. It knows we are afraid. I am ready. Sit down. Do you think that we will find any clue here about Devitt's whereabouts? The police must have taken almost everything, but we have no other leads to pursue. Hopefully, they have overlooked something. What about this room? There is a sealed letter between this table and the wall. It looks like Herr Beechworth never sent it. I think it is best that you read it. Dearest Alexander, please, you must reflect on this. We do not yet know what we are dealing with. If you were to open the door, it may stay that way, an open way for whatever lives on the other side. Videte ne quis sciat. So I follow Alexander into the mist. The adventure continues in Season 2. Well, everybody, it seems that the story will indeed continue. I know Episode 5 is currently in the works, probably to be released soon. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this series. I'm not sure if I'll play Season 2 until all the episodes of Season 2 are out, but stay tuned. I will be playing through it. In the meantime, if you have been enjoying this story, I recommend that you go pick up a copy of H.P. Lovecraft and his fiction, because you'll definitely enjoy the kinds of stories that he tells if you enjoy the kind of story this game is crafting. So, thank you for watching. Please leave a thumbs up if you have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you've watched through to the end of the series, this series at least, why don't you leave a comment? Go ahead and leave "The crow is ever vigilant," or something like that. I don't know. Just for fun. Anyways, thank you all. We will be back with the rest of the story as soon as the entire Season 2 is out. Or I might, you know what, I think I would just do episode by episode. I'm yet to decide. Anyways, thank you all for watching this show, and I will see you next time. This is Nova Persona, and I'm out.